Welcome to Marketplace with Charles, where dreams are turned into reality. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skincare. Art of Skincare, the company that brings out the beauty in you, as well as Kuwisa Lodge, situated in the heart of Mabalingo Nature Reserve. If tranquility is what you are looking for, then Kuwisa Lodge is the place to be. I am Charles Ngobeni. On Marketplace, we empower and equip you with tools needed to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. Each week, we bring you insight from experts in different fields of business, from men and women of faith. Well, today, we've got an unusual topic. We meet a dynamic woman that brings a total unusual angle to doing business. Talking to someone with this kind of a message that my guest carries, it's a very unusual occurrence. In the world that we live in, you may be asking, what does celibacy has to do with business? Well, if you check the dictionary, the meaning of celibacy is a state of abstaining from marriage and sexual relations. It is also defined as a state of not having sex, especially because one will have made a religious vow to that effect. But my question stands again. What has that to do with doing business? And not only business, but a successful business. I hope my guest today will help us understand this question. Amanda. Should I call you Miss Amanda?
Amanda, Miss Amanda, it's fine.
It's the same. Amanda Ndiki.
Yes.
You know, the first time I met you, the first time I heard of you, you were talking this language.
Yes.
Already.
7 years ago. 7 years ago. Yes.
So it has been 7 years now.
2 months' time, 8 years. Amazing. Wow. New beginnings.
Do you want to take just time just to say hi to our viewers out there at home?
Yes. Good day to our viewers and everyone watching. And thank you, Charles, for inviting me in the marketplace.
Yes. You wrote a beautiful book.
Yeah.
Do you want to take me through the title of the book and just a snapshot of the book?
All right. The book is called Stepping Into Your True Self.
Yes.
It was birthed through a journey where God was talking to me about the topic of celibacy, the topic of abstinence. And I could not understand why God was talking to me about celibacy and abstinence. And at that time, I must highlight as well, I was a staunch believer. I was a born-again Christian. But I was a fornicator. I was fornicating. Because we all know the Bible says no sex before marriage. So I was fornicating, doing business, using bribery. And that's where business and celibacy in my life, Amanda, comes into place. I was doing business with bribery. We know what bribery is. You would go look for business and someone sitting there would be saying, I need a certain percentage from this business that I'm going to give you. Whether it's a tender, whether it's whatever you want to do. Sometimes even funding. You get organizations where you're looking for funding and someone will be saying, I can approve your proposal, but I want a certain percentage from this. And I was doing it. As a born-again Christian, I would be paying out bribes to every business that I was engaged in. And when God spoke to me then about the issue of purity and celibacy, that's when he said, if you start understanding sin from my perspective, you are not going to separate sexual sin and continue to have blemishes and spots when it comes to your financial issues. And then I was introduced to financial purity. And financial purity is obviously birthed from the businesses that we run as Christians. Yeah. and that's been my journey. And from the beginning of then, I had to say no to any business that required me to pay bribery. Now, my journey started from living relationships that were not glorifying God. I had to leave businesses that were not glorifying God. When he says, be holy, for I am holy, he does not only say be holy sexually, he says be holy holistically, representing him as an ambassador in your finances, in your emotions, and in your physical state of being.
Tell me, were you ever married?
Yes, I was married. I was married to the father of my child, who is late, by the way. So I was married to him, and along the marriage, we separated for religious differences. We met young. He was my first at high school. Yeah, and life happened. And, got into marriage from my own desires. Because sometimes as Christians, it's hard for us to say, I pursued that marriage. It was not God who ordained that marriage. So for me, I stand boldly to say, I got married because I wanted to. I got married from my own fleshly desires. It was not godly ordained. So in that marriage, we then separated because of religious differences. My husband started consulting sangomas. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, mediums, the spiritist and all that. Yeah, because we were running our own businesses. We had a Celibacy franchise and other businesses related. And one of the uncles said to him, he must go as Qinise, so that you get more business. You are strengthened in that area. And that was the beginning of my problem in my marriage.
But
the separation.
how easy was it to change your lifestyle to this kind of a lifestyle that you are living now, seeing that you had tasted this beautiful, sweet fruit, you know how the fruit tastes.
And the book of Proverbs says, things that are stolen, taste very sweet.
And definitely.
Yeah.
It's not only the book of Proverbs. You try it.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you take sugar. You steal sugar.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, so nice. Yeah. They give you a bowl of sugar to eat. You will not eat it.
Yeah, no, definitely. So it really comes with understanding God. When he says, seek my kingdom first and live a righteous life, and I will add. So with us, we tend to add the things that God is supposed to add. And that does not bring contentment. So for me, tasting that life and really submitting to God's will simply means I really had to die to self. We always say die to self, but we don't really understand what dying to self means. Dying to self means your desires die. Your love for money dies. The self-centeredness, the self-greed. Because sometimes we end up, committing these bribery businesses because of greed. We are in pursuit of fulfilling our needs, the self more than, what God desires for us. When Paul says, I know what it's like to have plenty and to have empty, that's the situation I'm in, where I chose to die to self daily and really say, God, have your way in me. It's really not an easy decision because you lose things. I've lost cars, I've lost things, but because I understood that I'm doing this for God, he will reward me. And indeed, he has rewarded me.
Stepping into your true self.
Yes.
Which is the title of your book.
Yes.
And you have got a daughter.
Yes.
Who has now taken a gap year.
Yes.
What would you say are the advantages of a gap year in relation to stepping into your true self?
Yeah. I think for me, let me also highlight the fact that the reason my daughter took a gap year, she suffered bullying in grade 12.
Yeah.
And you can understand as a Christian parent, your daughter is suffering emotionally, and your daughter is asking, where is God when I'm being bullied? I see you pray, but where is God when I'm going through so much? And it was so deep that there were cases opened. And it was also a spiritual battle because the child that was bullying her was a sangoma. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Yeah. So moving forward, she wanted healing. And sometimes we make a mistake in wanting to dictate how people should heal.
Okay.
So the gap year came for me in understanding that she wanted to heal in a way that she feels is best for her. She said to me, Mom, I don't want to be around anything that has to do with school and children. I've been broken. Now I understood the reason for her gap year. But having to take a gap year as well was to come up with a plan, with her sitting down and say, what is the plan? What is the strategy? And she's a media personality. She loves media. She's an entertainer. And the plan was that, okay, we're going to push you. We're going to try and push you to that industry so that you also see that, are you ready for it? It's going to come with struggles. It's going to come with challenges. That's where we're going to see as well if this is really what you want. And I'm proud to say we've achieved that. You know, she's landed some few roles in one of the stations. and she's been influencers of some skin products. So she's done well.
So I can also use her on Art of Skincare.
Absolutely, until that contract ends. It's ending in January. So she's tasted money. And I was saying to her, your business is also built from your brand. When a 19-year-old understands money as a form of income, when she's able to be liberated and have freedom in understanding that I can earn and plan as to how I want to grow this brand, I think, the gap year has done well. And I would say to parents, listen to your children. If she says or he says, Mom, I want to take a gap year, don't be quick to say, it's wrong. Listen, ask your whys, ask your where, ask with how and the strategy. You would find that there is so much in them that is going to be birthed from that gap year. And entrepreneurship, for that matter, is not only born from a 3-year degree. It's born from the innate gifts that God has given you. So that gap year sometimes might be able to birth the gifts that God has given your children, and they might be able to utilize them way before going to university. And the university will just come and polish that gift.
Well, Amanda, what will you say are the advantages of living a celibate life?
The advantages of a celibate life are enormous. I would recommend it to anyone because it teaches you self-control. And we know we are living in a world where people are so hungry for self-gratification and instant gratification. Now, celibacy teaches you to wait for the right season and for the right moment. And while you are waiting, you don't become anxious. You've got clarity of mind and clarity of things as to how God will unfold your purpose in life. That's the biggest advantage for me, that I'm not moved. I'm not moved by a 4 million rand business. It doesn't move me. I can walk away from it and still feel whole and still feel content and still feel fulfilled, because I know mine is not going to come with anything that is going to lessen who I am in God. Yeah.
But will you say there are disadvantages?
The disadvantages of not practicing celibacy, of practicing celibacy. I don't know of any disadvantages. Because even when you think of health, celibacy brings, you don't have to worry. And especially to young people, I would like to say this to young people, practicing celibacy, you don't have to worry about teenage pregnancies. You don't have to worry about absent fathers. You don't have to worry about diseases, HIV, AIDS. You just know that you are pure, you are clean, you are just pursuing your purpose. And those are the advantages. So I cannot think of disadvantages that are going to bring you, a broken family, because those are the disadvantages of not being celibate. You are going to have children outside of wedlock. You are going to accumulate HIV, AIDS. You are going to be, the sense of rejection. That's what our young people are facing from these sexual relationships that don't have purpose. If you are dating without purpose, you're going to experience rejection. Because when you meet a person and you sleep with the person, you expect a certain kind of commitment. Because sex is spiritual, and sex is one of the elements that signifies and that cements marriage. So when you engage in it, you expect a commitment. And when you don't get a commitment, then you feel rejected, which is what most our young people and old people are struggling with at the end of the day.
Your book is doing exceptionally well out there.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you make it while so many people are struggling? Some people, they wrote so many books. They're stuck with them in boxes. They can't even move them. And yours is selling like hotcakes.
It's alignment with purpose. When you're aligned with purpose, then you attract the right audience. It is God who placed me here. And that's why when people see me, then they want to have a taste of what is it that this woman is called for. I don't have to convince people. I don't have to manipulate people. And it's the authenticity that comes with stepping into your true self, being true to my calling and being true to myself, and how I conduct myself as well. Because we speak as Christians, but our walk is different from what we speak about. So people are very, very, very much attracted to consistency, and they have seen that, and that's what attracts them to me. And I must say, it's been beautiful. And it also birthed my speaking engagement. And yeah, it's just being aligned with purpose. And then everything just falls into place.
Let's talk about your speaking engagement and your coaching engagement as part of the business.
Yes.
Because writing a book is a business on its own.
It's a business on its own.
Speaking is a business on its own.
It's a business on its own because you charge.
Yes, and for every voice there's an invoice.
There's an invoice. Yeah, the popular, you know, slogan for motivational speakers. My voice becomes my invoice.
Yes.
Yeah.
But how do you make it out there when people are battling?
Yeah.
I need you to help our viewers out there who wrote some books because money is not in the book.
Yeah.
But money is in the activities around the book. If you make money out of the book, you are lucky. But I am using my book as a business card to sell my ministry. I use my book to sell my speaking engagements.
Yes.
Because, for instance, if I sell you my book at $200, the reality is that most probably it costed me about $30 to produce it.
Yeah.
And if I take that book, which is worth $30, and give it to an individual read this book, which is worth $30, I've basically given him $30. If he invites me for a speaking engagement, and he decides to give me a 50,000 rands honorarium, it's 50,000, $30.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm saying money is on the activities around the book.
Yes.
Not on the book itself. But I am using the book to sell my speaking engagements, to sell my services. How do you crack it in this world when so many people wrote so many books and they're never invited anywhere? And with yourself, you even decline so many invitations because you do not even have the time.
You know, Charles, I think it's in the message of that business card that is called your book.
Yeah.
Is your message appealing to people? Is your message a healing vehicle to people?
I hear you.
So if your message is going to bring change and deliverance to people, then your speaking engagement is going to be coming out of those businesses. So my message is a message of hope, is a message of healing. Many are bonded with sexual struggles. Many are bonded with bribery in the businesses. And they're looking for answers to say, is what I'm doing right or wrong in the eyes of God? And when I come as Amanda and say, actually, I've walked your journey, and that's the most important thing as well, to say, I have walked your journey, but this is how God has restored me. And that's what people are looking for, something and someone that they can relate to. So if your message in your business cards is something that is not speaking to the healing of people, the deliverances of people, and bring insight to people, you are going to struggle. Yeah.
You know, you made me think very deep.
Yeah.
Because in most of our churches, we go to our churches sick.
Yeah.
We go to our churches poor. And we need to be delivered.
Exactly.
We come back home still sick.
Absolutely.
And still poor.
Remember.
And yet we have been in the presence of the most high God.
Absolutely. And that's why I was saying to you, when I was fornicating, I would be in the presence of the Holy Spirit every Sunday. And that's why God then used me as a tool to say, what you went through, take others through because they are also struggling. Because the 2 hours in the pulpit does not completely deal with the inner struggles that we are faced as Christians.
But the challenge that I'm having as well is that at the end of the service, they'll dismiss us without attending to my individual problems.
Again.
You know, and we'll be told there's not enough time.
Yes.
But there's enough time to take the offerings.
But remember as well, that's why then we have to have weekday services.
Okay.
And I think that's another strategy, that when we have weekday strategies, it doesn't have to be the home cells that are based on, it's good to have the word, but we should have home cells where we're able to say, you know, Brother Charles, I'm struggling with adultery. We should be able to have those conversations as Christians. And I think the problem is that we don't want to have those conversations. You know, when we meet, I'll be like, how are you, Brother Charles? The first thing is, I'm highly favored, Sister Amanda. I'm highly blessed. We don't want to talk about our weaknesses.
Yes, because you are going to gossip about it, and you don't even call it gossip. You call it a prayer item. You go into your group and then you say, no, let's pray for him.
Yeah.
He's struggling with this. But behind your head, behind everything,
Yes.
you know you're actually gossiping.
Absolutely. And then that's why we've got, you know, ministry is not only behind the pulpit. And that's the mistake we make. That, you know, God has called you to minister in different, I've been in different platforms that are not even Christian. And, you know, I would go to stations that we know promote, you know, sexualization. But I would stand in those platforms and speak about God.
Wow.
Sometimes the problem with us as Christians is that when we're given such platforms and spaces, we tend to belittle who God is in our lives, and we tend not to expose the God in us to the nations to say, hey, it's possible. And that's the difference with me, that I've learned to understand that ministry is beyond the pulpit. Yes, the pulpit pulls you out of the pit, and when it has pulled you out of the pit, then go out there and liberate others.
Amanda,
Yeah.
you have been into almost the TV stations in the
Yes,
country.
absolutely. And I even got an acting role, hey?
You see now?
As a pastor, because of what I stand for.
You have been into all the radio stations
Yes,
of this nation.
yes, I have. And that is so true.
How do you crack it? While so many people, they want to have those interviews and they can't have them.
And I don't even have a PR. God is my PR. It goes back to alignment, Charles. It goes back to alignment. Do what God has called you to do in your private place. He said, go into your private room and pray. But what does he do in return? He blesses you in public. So whatever you feed yourself in private, in your private space, will show in your public space that who you are, whatever God deposits in your private space, the withdrawals that are going to happen in the public space tells us who God is. I promise you, I don't have any strategy to say, this is what I've done. All that I've done was being authentic to what God has called me to do. Secondly, became committed to what God has called me to do in the midst of temptations. Because there are temptations that say, hey, you know what, I can cheat the process. But I remain to commit to God's process in the midst of storms, in the midst of hardships, and this is how God rewards. And when God rewards, people want to know, how do you do it? And when you tell them, just be obedient to God's will, they don't want to walk the process. You know, people don't want to pay the price. They just want the glory.
As we're about to wrap this episode,
Yeah.
you know, time flies when you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a snapshot of your book? Just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. I think for me, if you are struggling with self-identity, if you are struggling with purpose, and more than anything, if you are struggling with sexual bondage, stepping into your true self will help you, because I unpack my struggle with sexual bondages in terms of, you know, having sexual relationships outside of marriages, masturbations, because as Christians, we also struggle with that, pornography, just to understand as to if it's, you know, accepted in God's eye. And, you know, I know most people struggle and say, but if I'm watching pornography or I'm masturbating, you know, I'm not doing it with anyone. But I'm going to say to you, when you are doing it in secrecy, are you truly doing it to please God, or are you doing it to please self? And that's how I close it. Thank you very much.
You know, when you talk about masturbation, my argument on masturbation, whether it is wrong or it is not, is it right?
Yeah.
Is that, can you actually masturbate
In front of Jesus.
Well, one in front of Jesus, but can you masturbate without imagining anything or anybody?
I always say that. Can you really?
And if the answer is whenever you do that, you have to imagine someone. The Bible says, as long as you imagine it, you are as good as having done it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And more than anything, you know, I wish I had more time. When you masturbate, the reason that people get addicted to sex, it's because of the hormones that they release. So when you masturbate, you still release the same hormones that you are going to release when you are with a partner biologically. So then masturbation then also then gets you addicted to it. Then you can't liberate yourself from it. Let's just be biological and not be too spiritual about it.
And if people need to get hold of Amanda and book her for speaking engagement, or they want a copy of your book, or they want you to go and counsel them, how do they do that?
They can go on my Facebook, it's Amanda Ndiki, Twitter, Amanda Ndiki, Instagram, Amanda Ndiki. So the brand is just Amanda Ndiki. And they can get hold of me on my booking line, 073-374-6873.
And I am Charles Ngobeni, signing off on Marketplace with Charles. You can get hold of me on Instagram, I'm Charles_Ngobeni. Facebook, you can go and like me, and I would love to hear from you. Well, I'm also available on website, charlesngobeni.com. See you next time, same channel.
The Power of Women Academy is a group mentoring program for high-impact women. Women who want to change their lives and their worlds and move on to the next level. Power of Women Academy is aimed and tailored at unleashing the passion and greatness locked inside you as a woman as you walk the journey of life over the mentorship period with our team of distinguished and well-accomplished mentors from all walks of life. Our mentors are indeed destiny helpers. These mentors come to inspire you. They come to encourage you, to challenge you, to teach you, to stretch you, and to empower you. They are committed to helping you fulfill your highest potential and help you birth your wildest dreams that have been placed in you by God. For more information about the Power of Women Academy, please visit www.powacademy.co.za, or for inquiries, call 064 200 1545.